Preston
You know
can
what? We
fix
can just
it.
edit this out technically,
Yes,
so it's not that big
Preston
a
can
deal.
fix it.
So you know what? Editing. Okay, now we're gonna start. Okay. All right. This is the Fiction Fam podcast. I'm Cassia, and that's Destiny. And this is going to be our first time ever doing this. This is the first episode. So congratulations if you're actually listening. And I'm sorry
Don't
if
judge us.
you have been listening and you have listened to future us and we are amazing and now you're listening to this.
Guys are like, why did we go to these backwaters?
Exactly. Yeah.
We've
don't
made
do
a
that.
mistake.
You know what? Stick with us from the beginning, but don't come back. You know, see the future.
Just
Don't
stay where you were.
But
Don't go
anyway,
backwards.
welcome to Fiction Fam, where we talk about books and specifically books that we've read and are trying to convince the other to read, or also books that we've been forced to read together anyway. And this episode, we're going to do books that I was forced to read by Destiny.
That you
And
loved in the end.
It is. I did. You're right. So, but we're not at the end yet. We're in the beginning. So there you go. Yeah. So, but what is it that we're talking about? Well, we're going to be talking about Assassin's Blade and
Throne of Glass.
Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, which obviously a whole bunch of people have already read, and I am very late in the game with that series.
I read it before it was cool, which is important.
You did. You read it before it was cool, and I took a very long time to start reading it. There we go. So, and just a forewarning to everybody around, there will be spoilers.
Not hold back.
We're not going to be holding back. Usually Destiny likes to hold back when it comes to, group readings and everything. She's not a big spoiler person. However, my best friend is Wikipedia, Cliff Notes, Spark Notes, fan theories, all that stuff. That's my best friend. I am constantly looking at spoilers. In fact, I'm still reading Fourth Wing, and I'm reading the spoilers too as I go. So,
I do enjoy telling you. You're the only person I like spoiling things to. Everyone else, I'm like, how dare you even ask me?
Well, see, that's the thing. I love spoilers, and you're not like the only person who tells me what goes on in like the reading or the shows that they're watching. I have other people who are going, hey, it's okay if I spoil this? I'm like, dude, I don't care. Give it to me. Give me all the deets.
I don't think I even properly ask anymore. I'm just like, you will not believe what just happened in my life.
Yeah. Don't even bother asking. When it comes to tea, be it fictional or real, I'm here for it. So there we go. That's the way it goes. But let's go ahead and before we start with the reading, or well, we're not reading, but before we start with the book, let's just go ahead and talk about what we're personally reading right now.
Or writing.
And, or writing. And then we can go to the spoilers.
A little bit of time.
Yeah.
You want to do yours first? You want me to do mine?
You do. You go. You don't even remember what book it is.
Okay, so what happened was we had this book for a book club that I'm in at our local bookshop. And it is a House of Ash and Shadows or something like that. And I'm on the second one now because the first one was so terrible that I couldn't stop.
Okay, so it's one of those that I would definitely read.
Yes.
Awesome.
So this one is House of War and Bone. And so it has good bones. So it's like a fantasy that's my thing. I love fantasy books. So I was hooked with like the little blurb on the back. So I was like, yeah, this will be good. This will be great. Not good or great. I think it's because it felt like it was written by a 10-year-old. And the whole time I was reading it, I was like, I write this? Like, I was like...
Well, I mean, if anything, that should make you want to write more, though.
It's gotten me closer. I've almost started writing like I'm supposed to when I have like a month and a half to write this story. But anyways, that's beside the point. So this one, it follows this girl named Fallon, and in a town that is magicless. There are a bunch of fae. Whole society is a bunch of fae, which you would not be able to tell that from anything in the book, other than the fact of her saying, "We are fae," and the occasional the occasional "Oh my fae," that like she says that. That would be like saying, "Oh my human," like not even because their god is called the light, so they could have been like, "Oh my light," to be like, "Oh my god." No, they say, "Oh my fae," and then so much. It's like tip of the iceberg for like how terrible it is.
Oh my fae.
But anyway, so she is magicless.
I go, oh my fae, Ruh.
We're gonna go die now.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just say this right now. I was not a Mass fan until Throne of Glass. I'm putting it out there. I did not like A Court of Thorns and Roses, and the second book was okay. It was better. It was better than the first.
Just wait till you get a third one. I think you like the third.
Okay. And so when Faye, as in the being that is Faye, come in, I'm always rolling my eyes. And when especially since they're like the 2000s version of Edward Cullen. I'm sorry. You know,
it's just
every friggin' book out there, a Faye man who has big rippling bodies, and they're like, yeah.
Hottest man I've ever seen entire life.
It's a male, don't you know? It's not a man,
yeah,
it's a male,
males.
because he's a Faye.
Can't be.
Anyway, sorry. So, how would you rate this book right now that you're reading currently?
The one I'm reading, I'd like to say I just started, but apparently I'm 57% way through. They're like shorter books, so I guess in my brain I'm like, wow, I'm like 5 chapters in. I'm not actually. I think I'm on chapter 13 or something, but still,
you're like reading this and it's not sinking in, and it's like
I'm like, it'll get better. It just started. This is just the beginning.
Oh god, that just makes me want to read it for some reason.
I mean, honestly, do it. The first book, I rated it 2 out of 5 stars. Because, like I said, it has the good bones. Like, it had, like, a good idea. Like, her thing is she's cursed. Anyone touches her, she feels pain. I don't know if you ever read the, like, Jenny Pox books, but it was giving me those vibes.
Love Jenny Pox. Yeah!
Oh my gosh, no one ever knows what I'm talking about when I say that. That makes me feel so happy.
I told you about Jenny Pox, actually.
No, I read that in, like, middle school.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, because I had it in Audible, and that's why I was like, oh my god. And then when I gave you my Audible information, I was like, oh, you gotta listen to this. And you must have already had.
I think I freaked out about it. Actually, now that you say that, yeah, because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Someone knows?
Jenny Pox is amazing. We'll have to talk about that later in the future then.
Yes, but it's like Jenny Pox if it was like Faye almost. And so her dad's like dying like in the first 5 pages for no reason. Oh, I can't. I don't want to. I don't need to spoil this because this is not the book we're spoiling
Daddy
right
shouldn't
now.
be hugging her then. That's all I'm just
it
saying.
was something. It was so stupid. Like I can't.
Okay, you know what? You're right. We'll leave this alone.
But yes,
we'll have to talk
I won't
about
spoil this. Just bare minimum. He's hurt. First 5 pages. She has to go into the Gilded City, which is like the amazing city where the Queen of the Fae lives and all these powerful people live. Yada yada yada. And she has to sneak in there because she's magicless. She's like cast out from society. Her whole town is a bunch of cast outs. And she runs into a boy named Arion. And you already know that they're. And he's the one person in the world that can touch her without her feeling.
Yeah.
And he's a. Just starts good and goes swiftly downhill from there. Like, you're like, oh, yes, we're setting it up, and it just. But, anyways, I digress. Okay. The sequel, I will say, is slightly better than one. I'm still with 57% of the way through. I'm feeling stars for that kind of range. That's reading.
That's not too bad. That's too bad. If it makes it to the 3-star range, then that's a good thing.
I'm just being generous. I don't think it's gonna make.
Okay. Well, let's see. For me, I am reading a lot of things right now. Audio is Fourth Wing, which I actually am liking. I've just finished that one scene that I started. They have left the college, the war college, so you know exactly what I'm talking about now. I have a feeling this is the scene that you told me.
Oh,
this is the
you've
area
gotten
that
farther from last time we talked. Oh
yeah.
no, not my scroll.
Okay, yep. I figured this is going to be where, which sucks.
Did they just leave, or do you like know what's going down?
They have just left.
Okay.
Like they're there. They're there right now. Let's see. And I have a paperback book called The Perfect Luna by Marissa Gilbert. Yeah. It's an indie author. It's one of those shifter romances that you see on those apps and everything. Okay. But this is the one sister app romance book that I actually got really hooked on.
Wait. Don't mind me real quick. You keep going, actually. I'm gonna look something up.
Okay. You're gonna look it up?
Well, I'm reading a, like, terrible shifter. I'm not really reading it. It's, like, on a real short app.
Oh, okay.
But it sounds similar, so I want to see what it's called to see how similar.
Well, so The Perfect Luna is about, what I like about it is that it's throwing in things that I have read in those web comics that I like to read, and it's got the shifter stuff. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. So this basically a Luna has gone back in time to fix what has happened to her in the future. But what she's doing is she's like getting out of a bad marriage and everything else. And it actually really was completely different from other shifter romances that I have even looked at in those apps. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually feeling good about this. And I felt so good about it. I actually bought the book. It's on Amazon. And I was like, I'm buying the book and I'm reading it. It's taken a long time for me to read it, but I'm reading it. It's not a long time because the book is boring. It's more of like, it's a long time because I don't know how to sit still anymore.
That's fair.
There we go. Yeah.
All in there.
And then ebook, I am working on I'm beta reading for Celia.
Ooh. Where's she reading now?
And well, it is the book that she sent was a labyrinth, an erotic labyrinth retelling.
Oh.
Yes, yes, and that's what got me
Oh.
too. That's what got me too. Just all I had to hear was labyrinth erotica. I'm
Honestly,
here.
yeah, that's all I need to know too.
Yeah, yeah. And I can tell you what, from what I've read so far, she could do a horror. Like she's got the dark going for her. I'm liking that.
Really?
Yeah. Like I haven't actually gotten deep into it, but what I have so far, like it brings in the anticipation and everything, and I hope she kind of dives into that darker side of her because I'm liking that. And of course I'm writing the mermaid story right now, so
I
that's
should
going.
be. I'm not.
You should be. Yes. Mine is the sequel to my first story, and so I'm still working on it. They are they my my mermaid and my main girl haven't seen each other yet in the second story. So that
Oh, but they are. They're gonna overlap.
they will, yeah. Because so what I have it as is like I've written the first chapter in the human Sophie's opinion, and then Thea, the mermaid's opinion, point of view, and then it's Sophie's point of view, and then it's Thea's point of view. So I have four chapters like that, and they're going to converge again by, I believe, chapter 5 is when I'm going to have the two together. But I don't know whose point of view I'm going to write it in. So yeah, it's going. It's I'll get there. You'll get there.
We'll get there. Just,
You'll get there.
I'll get there.
You'll
I
get
will get
there. Yeah. All right. Using what? Okay, well then I guess let's go ahead and start ranting and raving about Corona Flash. I think what we've decided, or at least what we're going to do, just because we want to torture ourselves, is do it in chronological order, not the way we actually read the book,
Yes, because
but
this is not the correct way. But also
I
because I'm
honestly
right.
I would agree. No, I actually would agree with you though, because like, all right, so the first chronological
Is
is
Assassin's Blade,
Assassin's Blade.
which is the prequel, but I mean, it's not
Like,
called
how
the
many
Assassin's
novellas?
Blade series. I just want to throw that out there. The Throne of Glass series.
Yeah. How many novellas is Assassin's Blade?
5. There's 5 in there.
5.
Yes.
Okay. See,
I don't remember exactly what they're called, but it's the pirate, healer, desert, and the other two.
the underground,
Underground, yeah. Or
and then the Dead
underworld.
Sam one.
Yeah. I was like, how dare you say that? And I was like, oh wait, no. We told them we were spoiling things.
Yeah. So okay. So we're gonna do it chronologically, and that's Assassin's Blade. And like we said, there's the 5 novellas, and really, to be honest, I'm just gonna put it out there right now. Boring book.
Oh, see, I disagree.
I'm
I
gonna
actually
do
liked
that.
it.
No, see, here's the thing. All right, I'm gonna put it out there. The reason why I say it's a boring book is because it really does hinge on reading Throne of Glass first. So if you're going to read Assassin's Blade first, it's very boring.
No, that's why
You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When everyone's
You're
like, you
not-
can't skip it because then you're spoiled for what happens to Sam. It's like, I would never start a series with short stories. Like, there's nothing wrong with short stories, but like to get into an 8-book series, I would, like you said, it's boring. Like, it's because then you have to like pick up again. Like, I know they flow together, but you're like, I get through this, and then we do another one. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not my way of starting a series. I would not be able to. I'm glad she, as Sarah J. Maas, has changed her opinion and has said that it should be read third. And
Okay, which is
listen
the
to the
order we
author.
read it in, right?
We actually did it fourth instead of third.
Okay, either way, it's good.
I think
Yeah.
third or fourth really works. Is you just can't
Yeah.
go later than fourth because that's when everyone starts coming in, and then it
Yeah.
would be like I don't know who these people are. Why are they important? Why do we care that they're coming back?
Exactly. And as a writer, honestly, I think that Max did herself a big disservice, honestly, in writing the novella. Hear me out, okay? Because, as you had stated, there are characters in the novellas that are pivotal in the rest of the series. The problem is that you have to read the novellas. Not everybody is a novella reader. And so therefore, you're missing out on all this information. And that information could have been better written in the book.
Or even just have the short story in the book, like the specific one, because sometimes we have, flashbacks.
Exactly. So a flashback would have been good. Or even like what I liked in, like, let's say, was it, I can't remember which book it is, but she meant Selena mentions stealing a horse from the desert, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we see in the Assassin in the Desert novella. However, she could have hinted more on that history throughout the book.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't get any of that unless you read this book, which is why you have to read it fourth at the latest. Because otherwise you're like, I heard one sentence of some pirate guy. I had one sentence about a horse she stole. Even though that horse was actually super big part of two of the short stories.
Yeah. And the problem is that that's why I don't actually like that book, because it does her writing a disservice in the sense of making the world richer and thickening up the other ladies. Let's be honest; those the Throne of Glass could have gotten a little thicker with a little more information.
The first two it could have, so it could have been like put in those first two books instead of separate ones.
Exactly, and that therein lies my opinion on it.
No, that's good.
As novellas themselves, not bad, not great. They're more like what I would expect to read in like a writing class in college, to be honest. Not in like writing composition wise, but more along the lines of like, here's my assignment. It's still a well written assignment, but it's an assignment.
Yeah, that's fair, because you're like, all right, I need this person's backstory, so let me just make it make sense, So that's a good point.
The novellas were like the pre-planning to the series.
And I agree that that's also a problem because, like I said, I read this before it was cool. So yeah, it had Assassin's Blade as like a prequel in like the lineup in the books, because search it up really properly, like to get like a bunch of information. So I read it incorrectly because I was like, it's a prequel, it's not important, because that's how most series are. So I was planning on reading it, but I didn't realize I had to read it first or third, or I didn't realize it had to be done before the series. Normally you get prequels and you read it after the series because it happened before, but it's not like necessary to the plot. So then
and for me, well, you finish.
But I got to I think it was Empire Storms. I finished that book and I was like, what's happening? It made sense, but I was like, all these people are here and I don't understand. So then I was like, maybe it's in the prequel. So I read the prequel and then I was like, oh, I'm stupid.
Now, for me, I would never have read. You were practically yelling at me.
Because you're like, I don't need it. I'm like, no, you do.
Yeah, you were practically yelling at me, and for me, I don't like. It's not that I don't like novellas, because I write novellas, so I do like novellas. I like reading novellas too. But for me, it's like I don't. If I'm reading a series, I want to go ahead and finish the series. I don't necessarily want the extra stuff, you know, coming in. And from what I had seen, like what I thought it was that extra stuff. And I'm like, I really don't care. Like those fancy extended chapters that the limited editions have. I don't care about that. I care two shit.
I
I
want
know you
all
do.
the extra
I
stuff.
don't
Like,
care.
feed me
I don't
all
care.
of
I
it.
mean, there's a reason why that chapter wasn't in the book. That's the way I look at it. That chapter wasn't in the book and placed in the position it needed to be
It's
placed in.
funny
It
that you
wasn't needed.
say that, though, because with her bonus chapters, those are also needed because she mentions them again. Like the character SR and that comes in the last book. The SR lady that like helped a lead. I guess I'm spoiling the last book too, but you
It's honestly it's hard not to with this series, so I
yeah,
get it.
it's all together. But yeah, so SR she helped a lead by telling her where Karen was when they were
Okay,
like
yeah.
looking for Aelin when she's gone.
Yeah.
Well, she's in one of the bonus chapters. Her introduction is a bonus chapter.
Okay, see that's why I was so confused as to who the hell Star was. I was listening to it and I was like, what the fuck is this bitch? And
Yeah,
never
you're like,
mind.
why
I
is this
don't care.
important? Why we've never heard of Lorcan's ex-girlfriend? Well, we have. It was in a bonus chapter. Yeah.
Well, see, and that again, okay, Sarah J. Maas, if you ever listen to us in this podcast, which I seriously doubt, because we are lowly peon, please do not do this again. I don't know if you do in the future, if you have already, but if you're thinking about another series out in the distant future,
which I heard she is,
and you're listening to this, well, yeah, but she's currently writing those, so we can't use those. So I'm just saying, like, please don't do that, or even writers today, please don't do that because there aren't. I am one of the worst readers out there. Okay, I read the last chapter first. I am a big spoiler. Let's see, what else do I do that everybody hates as a reader?
dog ear
Um,
book.
no, I don't dog ear.
Oh, good.
That I don't do.
Then you're
Don't do
forgiven.
that. In fact, a 3-year-old, it was 3 or 4-year-old me yelled at my mom for doing it. So no, I do not do that. But like I just man, I used to never read a prologue. That's the kind of reader I used to be. I do read prologues now that I realize that they're actually important. But
that hurts my
like,
heart too.
Extended stuff, I don't read. You have to be a phenomenal writer for me to read the extended stuff. And so don't put important things in the extended stuff. Put a few fluffy things. Put scary things. Fine. But things that are actually important, like a brand new character, do not put them in an extended thing.
It's not even the only time she did that though. Like when they in Empire Storms, when they're like talking about the little girl they met on their travels that like could do magic, they bring her up like 4 different times, and she's just a bonus chapter too.
And you shouldn't do that because that's like, I understand that bonus chapters can enrich the world, and I encourage that. Make that happen.
But don't bring it up in your main story.
Stuff. But don't bring it back up in the main story.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult for a reader. And for a reader, that was the other thing that I do. I DNF all the time. There you go, people. I am a DNFer 100%.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I struggle with it so much. I'm like, what if it gets better?
I don't struggle. Well, of course, clearly the book you're reading right now. No, I don't. I do not struggle at all. If the book, because I'm a mood reader, so if the book doesn't grab me right then and there, it goes. But I don't throw it away. I keep it in my bookshelf for like a year and a half, And if I still haven't picked it up in that year and a half, then clearly that book was never to be read by me. It's that simple. But yeah. Yeah. Dude, I need to purge my books. To be honest, I have so many.
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I do. I purge my books. But yeah, yeah, Assassin's Blade. It was not the greatest, honestly.
What was your favorite of the 5 short stories?
Desert.
Which one? Sorry.
The desert one.
Oh, yeah.
I love Ansel. Ansel is like badass bitch. I love her.
I just love the silent assassins in general. Like, their whole community thing is cool. Like, I want more. That's what I needed a bonus chapter of. More on that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, I would love, like, a great extended bonus chapter would be what's going on with these people that we will see later on.
Like, their backstory. You know, like, how did that come about? That they were, like, 4 higher assassins, but, like, are all peace and love? Like, I love it, but I would like to know. No, it does, okay? It does.
No.
Yes, it does.
No, they're like desert Buddhists. It makes no sense.
I love it.
But
unsay all of your words.
I should rephrase this. It makes no sense. I still like it.
Okay, I'll allow that.
I mean. It makes no sense in the world, in my head, like what an assassin's supposed to do. Arabin and the Assassin's Guild.
That makes sense. That's exactly how assassins should act. Yeah, no, I agree.
Exactly. But then you go to the assassins group in the desert, and you're like,
I don't know why I love it.
Tiger and hidden dragon thing going on here. I mean, seriously.
What was it that I said my theory was on that? Like, why they... We kind of agreed about it, that they were, like, nomads, right? That, like, in our picturing of it, not, like, an accurate thing. Yeah. But, like, that they... Yeah. You know, how to, like, learn how to survive from the animals, which is how they learn, like, their training technique. And that they don't even really want to be assassins. They're just the most qualified for the job, which is why they, like, hire themselves out, because I feel like in their hearts, they're not actually assassins. Like, they're just living their lives, doing their practice, doing their thing. And they're like, I guess, if I feel like helping you guys out, I will use my awesome skills to do so.
I can see that. It's just that it didn't make any sense. And I mean, seriously, if these guys were that badass, why the hell wasn't there one in Throne of Glass?
Yeah, for the championship, That's a good point. Maybe just, I guess, because they didn't feel like being a part of it, because, you know, they'd have to be hired by someone, and they're like, we're not gonna just do your stupid little games. That's my only guess, really.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, like, that's what I'm getting at, though. It's like, if these guys are so, like, the creme de la creme, why the hell did this one dude pick that one little peon dude, that little kid of Poisoner as his chosen champion instead of the creme de la creme? You know, that kind of deal.
It's a good question. I also...
Yeah, and I mean...
Yeah.
Why didn't they take anyone else from the Assassin's Guild either?
That's a good question, too. Maybe they couldn't afford them? No. I mean, because it gives you the impression that they could, like...
They could afford them, though. They're assassins! And these guys are the richest in the country.
I don't know, okay. I don't know.
You would think Arabin would be all up for that. Be like, oh, good. Bitch Assassin B will be perfect for your little game, Your Highness. And then he'd have a spy in the fucking kingdom.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then he would have known Selena's there, and he's like that. You know, that would have been really cool. I mean, it didn't happen that way.
This is my favorite series ever, but it does have a lot of plot holes.
And this is why do not make novellas as your prequel and put them in the story.
Yeah, because now we're like, wait a second. Yeah, and all those people that do recommend reading it first, why were they not asking these questions? That's probably why all these people hate the first 2 books. Because they read the freaking Assassin's Blade first.
There you go. Because by the time, and here it is, by the time you read Throne of Glass, and then the other, like, by the time you read the first 3 books,
yeah,
right? The Throne of Glass to what's the third one? Crown of Midnight.
Crown of Midnight's the second one.
Heir of Fire.
Heir of Fire is the third. Yeah.
Heir of Fire. Okay, so by the time you get to Heir of Fire and you finish that one, then and then you read Assassin's Blade, you're totally so engrossed in the world of Helena. You're
care.
Not even paying attention to what happened in Assassin's Blade, and those questions aren't coming up. The whole reason why we're asking these questions is because we've actually finished the series.
Yeah, we read it all, and we're like actually trying to dive into it. So
yeah, so
but as you're reading,
like these questions did not pop in my head. Just now popped in my head. Like they just now did. So that says something right there. Is that you know, there you go. There's me going. Yeah, the desert one's my favorite.
It's definitely a tie between that one and the very first one, the one in Skulls Bay. And I can't even say it's because the story is the best more than it is my thing for pirates.
You love pirates, don't even.
Especially my thing for sassy, sexy pirates. The Pirates of the Caribbean in me was just like, tell me more, Rolf.
Exactly the feel it was. It was a Pirates of the Caribbean chapter. It really
was.
Of the Caribbean book.
And he was like, terrible guy having slaves and stuff, and I was still like, oh, sexy pirates, say more.
You know? And actually, that would probably be my second favorite novella in the book.
It's definitely those 2 are the top 2.
Of that reason. Because it's fun. And, but I like the desert one because you saw more of Selena as a person.
Yeah, it was good the whole way through the desert one, whereas this one was dry at first. It wasn't really good until you actually got into, like, Skulls Bay. Like, it has, like, that beginning part, and you're like, I don't care about all these assassins. Sam's a dick, but I've read the books, so I know she's gonna fall in love with him, so I'm not feeling that vibe.
Yeah. My least favorite in the novellas, which is going to be a shocker because she's actually one of my favorite characters.
Oh, the healer one.
Is the healer.
Really?
That is one of my least favorites. Yeah. And the only reason why is because it just felt like kind of like one of those lazy, boring times, and clearly it was for Selena.
Yeah, that's true, because she's not really even doing anything. She's just angry.
Yeah.
On her way somewhere, killing time.
I mean, it literally was just a way to introduce Irene Towers.
Yeah, and give them a connection for later on.
Exactly, and so, which I like. I like the fact that they're connected, and I like Irene, but as a story, it's not really a gripping story. It really isn't. Whereas the last two in the anthology, though, that's where we get Selena and Sam, and that's when we get what happened to Sam and how Selena ends up in Dovier, and that was far more interesting. I didn't cry for Sam. I'm sorry, I didn't. But there you go.
Just wait. Okay, so actually the last one is my least favorite of all of them. I think the only good part is no, that's the only good part of it. That's how terrible I am. The only part I liked of the last one was Sam's death. That was the only thing, because it wasn't interesting. She was just like, I want to leave with you, but I don't want to leave with you. And, you know, it was a bunch of eye rolling for me. So the only good part was the very, very end of it when he is just brutally murdered. That actually got to my heartstrings. It was the only part that actually I cared about in that story. And then you see her being shipped off, and you, like, get a little bit more on that, which is kind of vital information. So, like, other than, like, that very last bit of that story, I didn't like that one, so that one's my least favorite.
I can see that. No, I can actually really see that with
I like
how
when
boring
Sam
it
died.
is in the beginning. Yeah, see, there you go. See, I totally thought that was the part you didn't like. But I can see what you mean by the beginning.
I'm a terrible person, though, because obviously by the fan art that I was dying to show you guys, but also, I almost, even though I do not believe Assassin's Blade should be read first, I almost suggested it to my friends to read first, just so that death would hurt them. That's the kind of terrible person I am. I was like, I want this to hurt.
That would not have hurt me at all. Like, the only reason why I didn't, that's the funny thing, I didn't want to read that one just because of the fact that I knew he died, and I was rolling my eyes about it. That's really what it came down to. It wasn't because, oh no, I didn't want to see how he died. It was more like, oh, fuck, I gotta listen to her cry about him.
I wanted to see how he died. I was like, I need some more information on this. And then I was sad by how terrible a death it was. I didn't think I was going to be sad because I was like, everyone loses their first love in these kind of books. You know, that's what happens. But I was upset with how he was murdered.
I mean, okay. When set aside my reading psychopathy, I am indeed a gentle person who's a pacifist, and so
me too. I swear.
Sam's death was horrible. It was horrific, and it was just absolutely sad and gut-wrenching for people who actually cry in books. I don't, so therefore I didn't find it gut-wrenching, but I did think it was sad, and that scene when she sees him and she's holding on to his dead body.
Oh, yeah. I didn't cry on that either. But that's another reason why I would never suggest reading this first. Because if I had read this first, I probably would have stopped there. I'd have been like... like, I'd be like... Oh. That was it.
For me, it's like, that scene was well written. That's what I did it in audiobook. So
that's why it's so good.
Listen to it. I was like, oh, that was a good scene.
Yeah, I don't mean I was glad he died, but like that was the only good part of that short story. It was because it was so well written, and you felt emotions. You know, that's what I like. Yeah, I like books to make me feel things. Otherwise, why am I reading them?
Exactly. You know? Yeah. No, I agree. And so that scene was really well done, and I think it wasn't as impactful as other scenes later in the book for me.
Same.
Oh god.
Oh, me too.
Later in the
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But it was well written, and it did grab me, and that's something I actually really like about Matt, is how she writes grief and trauma, because it's different for all the characters throughout the book, all the traumas and how they deal with it differently. And so she really tied into humans as 3D models.
Oh yeah.
And I really like that. And so you see that in that moment with Fleda holding Sam. You see that, especially since
when she goes numb and everything, I feel that. So yeah,
especially when we were reading, we read, Throne of Glass, where she's this cocky little bitch, and then um, Crown of Midnight, where she's
She's
still
still
pretty
pretty
cocky.
cocky.
She's still pretty cocky.
And then the third
but
one,
she's
where it's just all hit her and she's depressed again. And I was.
exactly. And
I love her healing journeys. That's why she's one of my favorite writers.
yeah,
I'm with it the whole healing.
yeah.
It's
And
my
in fact,
chef's kiss.
That's probably why uh Akamath I actually liked because of the healing journey. I don't like Feyre, but
I
did
hate
like
Feyre,
how
but
she
I
wrote
loved the
it.
healing
And
journey.
so therefore, yeah. And so I commend Mass for that. And
she's great
so
at that.
it is a very well written thing. But since we've already gone to Sam's death and mentioned Indovir, I guess we'll go to
Throne of
Glass
Glass
now. And I will say this. Throne of Glass definitely reads like a young adult book.
100%.
And I think originally it was supposed to be young adult anyway.
Yes.
I know that right now, if you go into the fantasy section of the Barnes and Noble in the mall nearby, it's in the actual fantasy section. It's all of the Throne of Glass series. So I'm glad they moved Throne of Glass and put it there. I'm glad they put A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm glad they put Mass there, basically, instead of in young adult, because honestly,
no, not with all
A Court of Thorns and Roses do not belong there. And so Throne of Glass deserved to be with A Court of Thorns and Roses, especially since we got the massacre going on.
Yeah, it definitely starts very PG in these first couple books. You know, we have fade to black scenes, really just some kissing there, and it is my favorite. Just it's. I know the first one's pretty much a big cliche, and everyone's like, "That's why it's boring, and that's why I don't like."
Yeah.
But it's my favorite kind of cliche, I guess. So I was like, "I'm here for it. I'm here for the prince. I'm here for, you know, like." The sassy new best friend. I'm here for the crazy little games we're playing. You know, like, I'm here for a badass assassin who takes names. You know, like, everything that was cliche about it, I was like, I don't care because it's my kind of stuff. So I think I do have that as one of my. Honestly, this whole series didn't go below a 4 for me out of 5 stars, but this was one of the 3 books that I think I had as 4 stars. I had this one, Assassin's Blade, and Tower of Dawn as my 4.
See, I would put Assassin's Blade as a 2.5 to 3, and I would put Throne of Glass as a 3, honestly.
Oh.
For me.
Yeah, no, that's
but the way I see it is that first off, I should say, I do not rate books lower than a 3. So whenever I read a book whenever I read a book and I don't like it and it looks like it's going to be lower than a 3, I don't even review it. I just don't. Because I can't be dishonest. And therefore, I decided that it's just safer for the readers, and safer for the author if I don't review it. Because I'm going to give it a scathing review, and that's not fair to anybody. Throne of Glass was, like you said, very cliche. So it's, in case no one knows, about an assassin girl, 16 years old, 17? How old is she?
17 or 18. I think she's 17.
Is she? She's like 16 to 17, somewhere around there.
I think she's 17.
Look at it now.
I'm gonna check.
Destiny's gonna fact check that. But so basically, this teenager has been in a slave camp.
18.
She's 18 in Throne of Glass?
Yeah, she turns 18 in Throne of Glass. Like,
wow,
yeah,
she sure as hell does not up it.
17 just turned.
Okay, because like I never would have thought. I thought she was like 16 for some reason.
Yeah, because when it goes, it says it'd been 10 years since everyone died, and she was 8 whenever
Okay.
she had been
Okay. Yeah.
she had been in Dovier for a whole year, and she went in Dovier at 16 or she was 16 or 17 in Assassin's Blade.
Okay. See, and the weird thing is that I would say Assassin's Blade Selena is a little bit more mature sounding than Throne of Glass. I would say, for me.
Okay, maybe mature wise, like emotionally mature wise, because she's definitely more closed off and kind of, I don't want to do this in this book, but she's more wild in Assassin's Blade, which I think is more like, I just do whatever I want. I'm king of the world because nothing bad has ever happened to me because I'm a child, sort of. Even though obviously bad things have happened to her.
Therein lies my weirdness because I was never wild as a child, but I am definitely far more chaotic now as an adult. That's interesting. So yeah, so Throne of Glass, 18-year-old slave camp. It's carted away by a prince. They make a deal, and she's now playing a murder Hunger Games like situation in order to uh, be the top assassin for a king that
All we
destroyed
know
her
is
whole
killed
life.
her people, not from
Yeah,
this country, different country.
yeah. He
I
completely decimated it.
get like little bits of like magic and fae like talked about because it's like no longer a part of this society. Magic has disappeared. All of the fae and fairy creatures have also disappeared or been killed. I don't know. You got like the cute prince kind of save the day in the sort of way, even though kind of enabling the situation that his father created.
God, first chapter Dorian. I remember when I read the first chapter, I messaged you and I was like, I hate this kid. I hate him.
And I was
I don't
like,
care what you say.
I loved him from page 1. I was like, dark hair, blue eyes, all of my cliches, perfect. Prince. Every single cliche that I ever want was in that first meeting of Dorian, and I was like, he's the one for me. And luckily, he gets better as the series goes on, so he got to continue being the one for me.
Like, he really does. And I will say that he is the one for me now. I 100% agree with you. And really, he became the one in the first book. So even in
honestly,
book
by
one,
the end,
this guy grows. He really does. The first chapter, you're not going to like him. I mean, I didn't. You did.
Unless you're like me, and that's your kind of thing. Then you're gonna love him.
Yeah.
Page 1, finish.
I don't care for I would say younger me would have loved Dorian from the first time. Would have, because I usually used to love a cocky character.
I do like
now,
a good cocky character. That's another reason why I liked
him. Nowadays though, I prefer the quiet, stalwart wall of loyalty. So, Kale was my dude for me.
I thought he was so boring, so cookie cutter, so rule following. I could not stand him. I do not like people that follow rules to like to a point where it's like not even rule following. Like it's like he does it so he's so on the line that he's wrong.
See, that's why I wanted Selena with him at that time.
To like mix it up and be like, hey, break these rules with me.
Plans.
Yeah.
You gotta break the wall a little bit.
That's fair.
I was getting a little bit of the Grumpy Sunshine vibes, except
that's true
I didn't realize the Grumpy Sunshine. I didn't realize the Grumpy Sunshine was actually Kale and Dorian. But there you go.
Their bromance is too much. I can't handle.
Oh my god,
They're so
I love those two together.
No,
They are. extremely codependent.
I think the reason why I don't like it is because I love Dorian so much that I'm like, I don't want to share you with your boyfriend, Dorian. You are mine and mine alone.
Oh, see, and that's what I love about it is that it's like they don't even realize that they have
Oh,
that
no, they
kind of
don't.
friendship.
And everyone is kind enough to not point it out the whole series. I would have been roasting them.
Dude, if I was Asian, I would have been roasting them. Oh my god.
I know.
But anyway, so like I like Kale for that reason, and actually that's why I like Rowan later on.
I do like. I think it's because Rowan was never boring to me. Kale was boring. So, like, his rule following was different from Rowan's rule following. Rowan's I respected because he also had those moments where he was like, what I know is right is more important than this. Like, he still had that in his mind. So that made it okay for me. Whereas Kale doesn't. He doesn't really understand his own feelings. So it's just
and that's what I like about Kale is because he didn't understand his feelings and everything else. So I could put myself. I guess really it's not that I like him as a romantic character. I don't.
Yeah.
I like Kale more as a foil for me, honestly. Because like I felt more like Kale in the book, and so that's why. Because I am a big rule follower, and for me, it's very. I could see why he was doing certain things and everything. Now, I don't agree with a lot of things that he did in the future.
Oh no. I mean, I agree. I could see why he was doing it, but I don't know why my brain was just like, oh, either you're boring or you're wrong. Those are the only two things. You're boring or you're wrong. So, that's it.
I like Nehemia.
I know, like, you and Logan really loved Nehemia, and I was never. It's not that I didn't like her. She also just felt very like 2-dimensional to me. Like Kale was just boring to me.
Yeah.
The only ones I liked were in the first book were Selena, Dorian, and Nox. Those were the only characters I liked. And maybe even a little bit of Kaltane, because I like a good bitch. I'll just say
I didn't like Kaltane. I didn't like Kaltane because I didn't think she was a good bitch. It was more along the lines of she was a 2D bitch. That's how I felt about her.
I didn't like her as a person, but I don't know. I just I liked her bitchiness. I was just like, you're just a cunt for no good reason, and I respect that. Like.
No, I don't even. Well, I mean, I can respect that. Yeah, as a person, I can respect that. But like, as a character, she was just kind of like was there to seduce Dorian, and her thought that she was to seduce Dorian.
This is true.
And she was just a little puppet,
which she turned out to be a puppet. I guess in my brain, when I was reading her like few chapters that she had in her mind, where she was like, "I'm here to do this," and I at that point was still thinking she was using the Duke. I think that's why I liked her, because I was like, what are you, you know? So to me, she wasn't 2D. I thought there was something under the surface. I just didn't know what it was.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I would say this later books, Kaltane though, amazing.
Oh yeah, really just puts her over the top.
Oh yeah, and in fact, this is how I'm going to do it. Front of glass, Nehemia, up here. Kaltane, down here. I'm serious. They go seesaw to opposite ends. Kaltane goes high up in the sky. Hail Kaltane. Nehemia goes to the ground. What the hell, girl? You know, that's how I look at it later on in the series.
I agree.
But for listeners, Nehemia is the well, I have been watching a lot of Sarah J. Maas controversy videos. I'll be honest.
Oh.
So Nehemia is our token person of color character.
At that point, definitely.
And at that point,
in that first book,
yeah.
because it's very cliche, so you just had the one, person of color.
Yeah.
As the series goes on, I'd like to say it gets very diverse very quickly and in a good way.
Yeah, there is more diversity later on. But she, and it's not until the next book, anyways, that another stereotype comes up with her ethnicity, and I would say that that's exactly she didn't. I will say this: she didn't actually feel like a token POC character when I read her. Honestly, she didn't.
I don't think so.
Even though you don't see other characters described,
yeah,
from the same nation, she still didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So she just seemed like she was basically the ambassador of her country.
Yes.
And
she was clever
that seemed a little sneaky.
Yeah, she had like that little bit of
Yeah, and I like that about her. The monster, like, so in the book, there is something else going on than just the game itself, where Selena is having to do a series of challenges to become the champion. There's also
something killing the competitors.
Larger threat going on. Yeah, there's a larger threat coming around, killing competitors, and our stalwart, loyal castle guard captain dude, Kale, has to is trying to figure out who's killing these people.
Smartest dumb person alive.
And of course, he's not figuring it out.
I don't know how he's the captain of the guard, because he doesn't know a damn thing.
I genuinely don't understand the concept of this. Let me see it. I don't understand how exactly why he is involved in the going on of prisoners that go into the kingdom, as well as because like he's also in charge of the prison. You find out about that in Assassin's Blade, because he was so pissed off that Selena was heading to Endovir and he wasn't there to see her.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't understand why he is involved in the prison stuff.
Okay, so no, he's not.
And also,
I don't think he is. I think he was mad. Because wasn't Dorian still in town, or was Dorian with him?
Dorian, they were off, partying it out in another
together.
City or something. Yeah.
I think it was because he was the captain of the guard. He's supposed to be protecting the king. So he wasn't there when the most notorious assassin was in the same castle as the king. I think he felt duty-bound to be there, protect the king, even though nothing happened. And then when he comes to get her from the slave camp, he's going there protecting Dorian. He's not really there to, like, affairs or anything.
Yeah. Okay, I can kind of see that.
He's just a glorified bodyguard.
That makes me feel a little better, because it's like, what? Yeah, and that's another reason why it's like, well, why is this glorified bodyguard trying to be Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, and why can't he do any of it right? Didn't he grow up in this castle? Why don't you know what's...
Yeah, I mean, like, and here's the thing. Later on, you learn about the secret passage. So there are secret passages in this castle that Selena knows about. She finds out about it. There's like a magical ghosty lady.
Right. But later we find out Dorian also knows about these passages. And since Hale is his childhood friend, you know they were getting in mischief together as children. You can't tell me they didn't play in these passageways. And yet Kale doesn't know a single thing about them. Not one.
Even if Kale did not know, like, did not go into mischief, he
had
had
to
to
have
have
known
known
about
about the
them.
friggin' tunnel.
Plus, it's a security risk, so, like, why does he, that's his job, why does he not know about this?
Exactly. So that's why I really don't think, as much as Kale was like, I'm the city guard, I think
It was
that
all in
was
his head. Which, I mean, kind of later you also find out that's just what the king wanted him to think too anyways, that he just wanted these people to think they knew what was going on. So, like, you can't entirely blame him for that either, he was being told one thing.
But then it's kind of like, well then, did how did the rest of the world, how did the rest of the kingdom, the castle, also go along with this joke? Like, did everybody go, ha ha ha, Kale, you're such an idiot?
That's how I picture it.
Or do they genuinely not realize it either? And then in which case, it's like, man, that is a very, very elaborate plan the king had. So once again,
honestly, I think that is what it is. I think it really was that elaborate of a plan from what we learned in the later books, though.
Maybe, but I still think that I don't know. I kind of feel like those elaborate plans were kind of like those, oh crap, how am I going to fix this?
You're like, it was all perfect. It was all on purpose.
Yeah. And then it's like, and then of course, if you're so engrossed in the world and everything else, you don't realize it.
Yeah,
I really do
that's
think,
true.
like,
if I wasn't rereading these books and, like, going through it with, like, as we read them together and, like, writing down all of my thoughts, this never went through my head the first time reading this. This never came up. I was just so engrossed in everything that happened. Everything was amazing. Something, like, someone came out of nowhere or a plan came to fruition that I had no idea about. I was just like, you characters are so smart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not against, like, and I know we're sounding like we're lambasting math.
Honestly, we sound like we hate these books, but this is, no joke, my favorite series in existence ever. Of hundreds, thousands of books I've read. I've read a lot of books, and this is the top for me. So what does that mean for the others?
Say that this is, for me, I will not say this is the top for me, but that's only because it's very difficult for me to say things are the top.
It made you cry.
I will say this, though. I will say this. It did bring me back to boosting my writing. I have been in a slump. I haven't been writing as much as I used to. And I know that the closer we got to finishing Kingdom of Ash, the more I was writing. So I will say that it did bring back my desire to write. Now, it did not bring back my desire to write to, like, fix her mistakes or anything like that. No, I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, like, you were inspired. You're like, I like this so much, I'm ready to write more. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it.
No.
So, yeah. Throne of Glass was a 3 for me. Just because, that typical YA trope thing going on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. Because I could see the bones of an epic world. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I want to know more. I want to know what these word marks are. Yeah. I want to know
why this ghost is talking to her. Are. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Speaking of that ghost,
hate her.
Elena.
I hated her less the second time around. The first time, there was just no forgiveness. Spoiler, I was glad she died. Again.
So this is actually a spoiler for later in the books, but did you realize that I think it was like in Empire Storms,
Yeah.
the first few chapters, the first chapter or something like that,
Oh, when it's in her point of
where
view?
it's in her point of view and her flashbacks. Did you not realize? Did you realize that she was Erewhon's assassin? Did
Yeah.
you catch that?
Oh,
So, see,
clever.
yeah.
I do love how
So,
all of this like is connected. Like
yeah.
it really just
So
is a big circle.
so Erewhon's the big bad, and he had an assassin named Elena, who was a Fey princess, who,
We selling.
yeah, and who is our beautiful ghost of the castle. She just hangs out in the crypt, waiting for Selena to ask questions, and then she answers. And that's really all she does in Throne of Glass. She kind of just does that, except for like the very end where she saves Selena's life. Um, and I mean, that's not the first time that we learn that she had saved Selena's life. That's probably like the second time.
At
But
least.
yeah,
Actually, at that point, that's probably like the third.
It's, yeah, kind of,
Technically,
yeah. I mean, she's
the very first time we don't learn about till later. But in that book, she helped her in the dream, and then helped her at the end.
Oh yeah,
the dream that wasn't actually a dream.
So yeah, Elena is an interesting character if you look at like all the little tidbits and everything.
Yeah.
So but you have to get through the series to find those little tidbits.
Otherwise,
really what
at this point, she's just. I don't even like. She's not a bad
character. Force ghost. She's a force ghost. That's all she is. She's friggin' Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to Luke Skywalker saying, "Yo, your father is Darth Vader. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, bro." You know, that's basically what Elena is.
Because at this point, she can't be direct about anything. She's just like, well, here's a poem that might tell you something, and here's some vague answers before I fade away. You know, so at this point, she's kind of like pointless. I'm like, why are you here? Why are we talking to you?
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly how, yeah, she's kind of that special placed plot device. Yeah, it's like it's once again it feels like a, oh no, what do I do? Oh, good. We've got our answers.
And then those has reasons. Is Mort in the first book? I don't remember.
No, he is in the second one.
Yes, because he doesn't talk in the first one. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you've been here this whole time? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. See, but then there you go. There's another one. Because she's like, oh, I don't know. I kind of feel like Matt is like, all right, now I need to write. And she goes, oh, wait, I can't have Elena come back so soon. Because all this stuff has happened. And I think that would take a lot of energy. So what am I going to do? It's like, it's a little weird. I love the magical doorknob. I'll be honest. I do like the magical doorknob.
I love specifically this magical doorknob.
Exactly.
It's funny. And then we never know what happens to him.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's another character. There's a character in Throne of Glass that we get a name, and she is a wonderful old lady. Like I envision a warm, welcoming grandma mother type, Philippa, who is the servant, Elena's house servant, basically. She's appointed. She's the one that knows about Elena being an assassin because she's undercover, basically.
She's great in this book. I forgot I liked her too.
And she was a good character because she's like helping out Elena and
Yeah.
she's like,
I know you're an
she knows
assassin,
what's
even
going
though
on.
it's like a secret at this point, because when she comes to be a part of this challenge, she has to pretend to be like a lady, a thief, not even an assassin. She's just some lady, Lillian, who is posh and everything, but also steals things every once in a while.
Which makes no sense why a posh lady, ended up in a slave ship.
Well, the reason was because she robbed Dorian and impressed him, which is what made him. But that's neither here.
Yeah, okay.
It also plays into his Playboy thing of, oh, this pretty lady.
True. True.
So there was like a reason for her.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
To have that story.
But I love Philippa. I really do. And you only see her in the first 2 books. I'm like, what happened to this chick?
It like mentions that she's alive, and then like never says anything about her again after it like confirms that she didn't die.
You know what? I have a new headcanon for her. You ready? Cochrane. Done. Crochet? She's one of the Cochrane riches.
Isn't it Crochet?
No, it's actually Cochrane. No, it's Cochrane.
What?
Audiobook says Cochrane. Yep.
I've been saying it wrong?
Yes, you have been. Yes, it's Cochrane. Yeah, Cochrane. So, there are witches in this world. You don't hear about them later until later.
Yet. Not at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's where my headcanon is that she is.
I kind of love that actually, because she had zero fear of Selena, and she knew who she was. She knew she was an assassin. And from the moment we meet her, she's like, get up, get dressed, look better than what you're looking. Like, just do this.
She screams Cochrane to me, you know?
Yeah, actually. That is now canon in my mind.
Yeah, why not? We have now given her life meaning. We give her life meaning.
Philippa's new backstory.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. Math, we figured it out for you. And we will also tell you where Vaughn is.
Yeah, we'll tell you actually what happened to all of these characters that just disappeared. We're gonna give you what really happened.
We decided. We know exactly what happened to these people. Like the first book, yeah, it was good. The Elena saving her in the end was
it was okay.
Yeah, I
didn't really like it because I don't know, it just took away from Selena herself. I feel like she should have been able to just do it herself. No, even though she was drugged, but like in my brain, I was like, this is a cop out. You know?
How many times does this girl need to be drugged?
Seriously, she never like learns from it. She's like, oh no, not Gloriella again.
That drug had messed her up
so many times. That's what got her an assassin's blade. It's what got her here. Actually, I don't think that's what got her in this competition. But Maeve uses it later. Spoiler, but
yeah. I mean, this
the one dude in the second book that cuts her with it, and then she like is like, oh, okay, oh
no. Okay, so here's the thing. This drug is like magical as fuck, man. Okay?
It knocks you out. It paralyzes you.
Yeah. Like it seems to do everything.
Yeah, because you have like the kind that could go be on like a knife, like a blade. You put it on something and turn it into like this breathable mist. Like knock people out. It's a plant. Like it's like all of these things. It could be in a drink.
Make it into a tea.
Which, I mean, I guess with any plant, you could actually have that happen. Like, if you were to burn it, I guess, it would make... I mean, I guess there's, like, a way for it to work, but... At least she's consistent.
I'm sorry. Like... So, this special drug you learn about in Throne of Glass with all these other drugs, with all these other poisons and everything. And this special one, this one poison though, is like
It's the only
supposed to
one
be
that
like
gets her.
the most dangerous one.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the most dangerous one. Remember, because there's the little poison challenge where she has to do all of them, and like Gloriella was like in the beginning of all of these different ones.
I thought it was in the
It was
end.
that was some random one that looked and tasted like water, but actually like killed you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
See, I thought that was the Gloriella.
Was that? I don't think that was, because she knew.
I think it was.
She knew the smell of Gloriella.
No, I think it was. See, and that's the thing. That's why it's like, how did she know it was Gloriella? Well, I mean, the girl had been drugged so many times with this thing. I guess she kind of got used to it.
No, she knows the smell. That's why I know that's not the last one, because she couldn't sense that one. She had to look to the little dude. She didn't even know which one was the good one and which one was the bad one. She had to cheat for that.
That's why I think that was the Gloriella. I think that one's Gloriella. I think. See, now we're going back to fact checking to see. And so yeah,
you talk. I'm gonna look it up. See if I can figure it out.
Yeah. So there's this magical drug, and it is, I don't know if it's a real actual poison. It might actually be a real poison. I doubt it, but I don't know. It's called Gloriella, and it does the whole paralyzing you and stuff like that. And Calpain, through the machinations of Parrington, had, you're gonna go look it up in the book now. Had that's the smarter way to do it.
Yeah, I was not finding it online.
Has convinced Calpain to put poison in these cups. And this is the last and final challenge. And Elena drinks the cup, and so does the other dude. His name is King. And they go into this epic fight, and she's like starting to get all woozy, and it's like it's basically a glorified date rape drug that is just a little bit extra. And essentially she starts hallucinating, because that's also part of the drug. I think that's the only time we ever see hallucinations with her with it. And he brings in demons. She starts seeing, paralysis, sleeping demons basically, and she starts, flipping out. And then Elena comes and saves her. And in the end, Kane is killed by Kale. And there we go. And this drug, Gloriella, just keeps appearing throughout the series. And I could swear, this is why we're looking this up, to see where it is in the
order.
In the potions. There are potions.
What chapter was it on?
Situation. Because there's actually a challenge that they have to do earlier in the book, which is poison, and you have to figure out what poisons are what. So it's kind of like it reminds me of the potions challenge in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, where Harry and Hermione are like trying to figure out which ones are safe and which ones aren't safe. And Hermione's like, "Here, drink this, Harry. It will get you through this fire, and I'll drink this, and I'll get Ron back to the castle, Hogwarts." So that's what it reminds me of. So Lena is, sniffing and not taste testing, because she like get hurt, and then they have to choose which one's water and which one isn't, and she chooses. And Destiny is having such a hard
I'm
time
having
trying
a
to find
terrible
this.
time because I'm trying to like skim it, but like I'm not retaining any of what I'm skimming, so I'm like, I don't know what I'm. Oh, antidotes. That seems.
There we
Yes.
go.
Aha!
We found the chapter. Because I swear to God, Gloriella was the last one.
Well, the first one was just
Because
wine.
there you go. I won for Casio on that one. Yay! It wasn't the first one. And see, the thing is like what's really important about this is that later on, I believe in the series, Helena does actually say that she can smell the Gloriella
Yeah,
later on in
she
the
knows the
series.
scent of
So
it.
if it, yeah, so if Gloriella is the last one, then we've got a problem. Unless Helena is, in her other form when she smells it. Maybe only certain people can smell it. That's possible. I'm loving this. We're poking holes trying to find them.
We've got belladonna. We've got hemlock, bloodroot, monk's hood, oleander.
Which can kill you too. By Oleander, great book, Janet Finch.
Have the wine, and for this one. Are you looking for it too?
No, no, well, I can't. I have only the audiobook.
Oh.
I wouldn't be able to help you
I
out with
just
that at
realized you weren't
all.
talking anymore, and I was like, wait.
Yeah, this is just going to be something that's going to have to be on edit now for some reason because I'm just like, ah. Anyway. Well, see, all right, you've already listed all these other things. If you didn't list Gloriella, you know Gloriella's the last one.
I refuse to believe it's the last one.
The last
It
one.
doesn't say.
It is, which means that it's, which means she, like, I would love a book, a side book. Okay, so I know I have said I don't like side books, but now I need a side book where we have all these little things, all these questions we have. Where is Philippa? Where is Vaughn? What did Workin do? And then also add, what are the properties of Gloriella? Because
Yeah.
Gloriella is the last one. And I am right. I know it. I'm pre-dancing this. I know it. I know I'm right.
I wonder if it'll say in the end, because I know it's the same thing that they were tested on that
Yeah.
Caltane put in her wine.
Yeah, it would be the last one. It would be the very last
Let's
thing
see
because
if
it's
it.
the
Let's see if it
person who.
reveals it at the.
Yeah. Are you looking at the very end of the book
Yeah, when she's
now?
right after she drank it.
All right. Well, maybe now I'll actually start looking too. I'll help you out now. Now I'm gonna be nice and actually.
No, they gave her bloodbane.
Oh, is it Bloodbane
They gave her Bloodbane. So
all right, you won then.
But
you
so
won. You won.
partially because I was
concede.
wrong because that was Bloodbane was just one of the poisons, so it wasn't that last one. So that last one could have been Gloriella. It's just not what they gave her at the competition.
Okay.
So we'll take it like a win and a win. So like that's not what poisoned her.
That works. You know, for once, it's not Gloriella that gets her. Let's say it like that.
Only time it's not.
It's not Gloriella at this moment. Assassin's Blade, it was Gloriella, and then Bloodbane this time, which makes sense now because all those weird hallucinations she had.
Yeah, and plus she wasn't immediately paralyzed and knocked out. Like she was stumbling around, and yes.
Yeah. See, that makes sense now. See, that makes me feel better because now I'm like, because I was about to say Gloriella is like some really weird drug now.
You're like, how is it doing all of these different things? Was it laced?
It's doing everything. Maybe it just depends on whether or not the drink is like room temperature or not.
Or if you're drinking it or smoking it, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, now see, here's the thing. Make Miss a great chance to use Bloodbane for her later on then.
Yeah, because I guess she didn't need the hallucinations though with her.
Yeah.
Knock you out.
Good point. But still.
Yeah, but still. Alright, any last thoughts on these first two?
No, I feel bad for whoever's editing this.
And we're sorry.
Preston.
Well, if no more thoughts on that, then what are your book recommendations?
Girl, wait, Kyle. You start. Because I'm trying to think now.
Well, I will.
Or do you want anything either? Oh, there you go.
It doesn't really show it properly. Thanks, camera. But it says How to Dance, and it is by J.C. Dutton. It is a romance. A contemporary. Specify. I thought by the cover that it was going to be fluffy. It was not fluffy, but like not in a bad way. It was very refreshing, just because of how realistic it was. So I don't think I've ever really like read a romance quite like this because I really enjoyed it. It felt very real. It had, I guess, probably because the author's from Ohio, or I'm from Ohio, so I knew where the book setting was. Columbus, Ohio, so that kind of vibe, and it had like the author himself, he has also done, and I appreciate, I don't know, I feel like all I have to say. No, like it wasn't like I'm sure because from his own point of own thoughts. So as I was reading it, it wasn't something actually I met the author, and when he was talking about wanting to write this book, the things that inspired him was the what was that one book called that was turned into a movie, like the guy that accident, like a big movie, Emilia Clarke.
You Before Me, I think is
that what it is?
I think.
Okay, that's what I was leaning towards, but then I was like, is that the movie of? I think it is. So I guess he had, that movie was coming out, and he was before you. Okay, well, so he saw that movie was coming out, and he was super excited about it because there's not a lot of books that have like the representation, and so he Then he was very disappointed in watching it. Like, in watching this, he said he learned that and thought that suicide was like a step to. I wanted to write something that was not a step at all. Like, he was like, he's like, I mean,
wait. So, and I mean, I'm not disagreeing with him because there are people out there who would probably go, "Oh no, someone's disabled. They're going to commit suicide." Really?
right. But I mean, like, he was like, I feel like.
I'm glad that he did that though, because he's right. People would think that way.
Yes.
There are people who probably. There are probably people who think that way.
Honestly, I didn't think about it, but after he said it, that's kind of what it was implying. Because in this book, he was like, I had such a great life. I've lived so well, and now that I can't walk, what's the point? That's kind of honestly what that movie / book was about. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I get there was more to it, and it's like this whole choice of assisted suicide that was like its own little topic, but like, if
I've never read the book, never seen the movie, but I know about it enough to know.
I did like that wasn't what went in my brain. Like, for my brain when I was watching it, I was like thinking of like the ups and downs of assisted suicide. I wasn't thinking about being disabled and that, like cause real just what that was. And so he was right, and he wanted be more realistic in the book with representation. Like, yeah, he has struggles, but it's just everyday struggles, like that's what everyone goes through. And a little grumpy. I thought it was gonna be tropey. I thought it was gonna be very grumpy sunshiny. And then I ended up liking I thought the grumpier one from the beginning was not grumpy at all by the end, and that the sunshine one was like the more questionable of the two by the end. So I liked that it wasn't tropey. So like, I'm pretty sure this is his first book. I know if it's not his first book, it is his first hit at romance. And since he hadn't read a lot of romance books before writing one, it's what makes it so refreshing, is there's not a lot of tropes, to be honest. Like, I like a good trope, but like there aren't any. It's just a love story. Like, it just goes through it. I don't know. Loved it. That's my recommendation.
Good recommendation. I like that. I would read it.
You're going to read it.
Yeah, because you're giving me one. Yay.
Specifically.
Yeah. Envelope that needs to go in the envelope, which, by the way, I haven't even mailed yours because I suck. But let me think here. What would be my choice? Oh, no. I'll be right back. Hold on. Ow. So, I've already read this book, and since there's a Netflix movie with the same name right now with Millie Bobby Brown, I figured I might as well go ahead and say this book. This book is not the Netflix book. I will say that. It is not based off the movie. I'm just saying the movie is not based off this, but there are dragons, and it is Damsel.
I was gonna say because I saw that there was two.
Arnold, and I do not read this book thinking young adult trope and young adult fantasy. That's what I'm going to say. If you're going to read this book with a feminist mindset, because that's where you're going to get a real good image of the book. It is about a prince that goes and overcomes a dragon and brings home a girl. And he tells her that she is married to him. He tells her that. And in the process of it, she finds she experiences a very toxic relationship. But in the end, it's good. It's it's going to be colder, right? Yeah. But the end is awesome. So this it's a happy ending for the main character. Do not worry. It is a happy ending. It's empowering, and it is one of those books. Now I have a bachelor's in literature. Well, I have a bachelor's in English with writing as a concentration. But one of my favorite classes has always been literary theory because I just like poking through books and making up what the author must have intended. Which newsflash for anybody, we don't actually
There's no intentions.
anything.
We just write.
No, yeah. But sometimes we get kernels of like, oh my god, this is exactly what I want, emotion wise and symbols. But we don't actually don't go into writing.
I didn't write the yellow hat because the guy was happy. I just liked yellow, okay? And he was wearing a hat.
Exactly.
Because it's sunny out. I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. But this book is definitely one of those books that you could go through with a fine-tooth comb with feminist theory and just see all the connections that fit into this, and it's just absolutely a great book. I would read it again. There's a reason why I read this, I think 2018, 2017. Yeah, I think. Well, when was this published? That would help me out right there. Okay, yeah. So 2018. It's about 2018 that I read it, and I liked it so much, I bought a paperback because I had it.
That's how you know it's
audio.
Good.
And that's how I know it's good, because I bought the paperback, and I bought the paperback to eventually do the whole annotation thing, because I love it that much. So I definitely recommend anybody who wants to have a bit of a feminist read, but loves fantasy, because it's a fantasy book. There are dragons, there are princes, and there are princesses that want to get out of a bad situation. And that's what matters. And I like that book. But yeah, that's my recommendation.
Funny that you recommended that. A damsel movie that came out. I looked it up on Goodreads and then saw your review of this damsel book. And so I added that to my TBR. So I actually already have it.
See? And I think I gave it a 5 in Goodreads.
I think you did too. It was.
I really
either
do.
Celia or Mac also rated it.
Yeah. So and that's the thing with me when it comes to Goodreads. You're going to, if anyone ever reads my reviews, you're only going to see pretty much a lot of 3s, a few, like a spattering of 4s, and rarely do I give 5.
You were a 5, Celia was a 4.
And the 5s for me are those books that just make me go, oh my god, I am in love. Holy cow. In fact, just a little preview. Number 5, the 5-star, the only 5-star book I will give in the Throne of Glass series would be Kingdom of Ash. I am putting it out there, and it's all because of that one chapter. And yeah, that one. I will not say any more until we actually talk about that book, though.
Yeah. We'll try to stay on track with the actual books we're talking about.
Exactly. So there we go. But it's kind of hard because all the characters kind of
as it goes
slide in.
I know. So I think it'll be easier once we're talking back to what we already sort of talked about. And
exactly.
But yeah.
So, you know what? And there's another reason. Elena. See, that's how we spell her name in Throne of Glass, and it's the same name for the author of Damsel.
not how you spell
Sure it is. How do you spell it in the freaking movie?
E-L-E-N. Honestly,
Oh,
that one
God.
might be Alana, not Elena.
Well, maybe you're right. I'm going to say you're right.
But close enough.
I'm not even... Yeah, close enough. Alana, Elena. Well, it could be Alana. No, Miss Arnold, I am sorry.
Maybe they need to have
if
pronunciation guides
if
for
I said,
author names,
you know,
too.
honestly, you know, it wouldn't matter. Because Miss Arnold, if you look at my name, which I'm sure we'll put in the description on how it's spelled, you would not get my name correct either. And so I am going to apologize if I said your name incorrectly. And there we go. Because, and then I'm going to say that I commiserate with you because I understand how that is. Because the way my name is said is Cassia, and the way it's spelled is Casia, and I don't know how many people have said it wrong.
Spelled wrong.
There you go. See, we both have that problem. Yeah. If you like this episode, tune in next time where we will talk about, and I don't know what the other two books are, I'll be honest. It's Crown of Midnight and Queen of Shadows?
Yes.
No, Airfire.
Airfire.
Airfire. Okay. We will be talking about Crown of Midnight and Airfire, and I don't know if I remember a lot of Crown of Midnight, to be honest. Oh, God.
I do.
We will see.
I do. We'll talk about it.
Do.
I'll remind you.
We'll talk about it. All right. Well, yes. Bye.